Sometimes you might need a pick-me-up, a push in the right direction, some words that help put you back on track. This is the Learn, Develop, Live podcast with your motivational moment.
Good morning! This is the Learn, Develop, Live podcast and your motivational moment for this week. I'm your host, director, CEO of the show, Chris Jacks. How are you doing today? What's new? How is your week going so far? This week we have the great Joe Dispenza, who will get you to think about how trying to have a positive circumstance to happen before you feel the way you want is actually going backwards. You need to feel that circumstance first. Let's find out more, and here is Joe.
Can I teach my body emotionally what my future is going to feel like before it's made manifest? Now, this is the challenge, because we've studied this so much. Most people wait for their wealth to feel abundant and worthy. They wait for their success to feel empowerment. They wait for the healing to feel gratitude and wholeness. They wait for their new relationship to feel love. Or they wait for the mystical moment to occur to feel awe. That means then we're victims to our environment. We're waiting for something outside of us to change how we feel inside of us. And the moment we feel better inside of us, we pay attention to whoever or whatever caused it. And that event in and of itself is called a memory. That's Newtonian physics, cause and effect. In other words, if people are in lack, or they're empty, or they're suffering, they're waiting for some external exogenous condition to change how they feel. And what happens if it doesn't happen? They spend the rest of their life fighting for it, trying to controlling it, manipulating it, trying to make it happen because they're separate from possibility. But don't you know that the moment you start feeling wholeness, your healing begins? The moment you start feeling worthy and abundant, you're walking towards your future, called wealth. The moment you're empowered by a vision, and every single day you're living in that energy, you are going to tune into a new future. And synchronicities and serendipities are going to begin to happen all around you. The moment you're in love with yourself and you're in love with life, you're going to magnetize an equal. And the moment you're in awe of knowledge and information, you're going to have a mystical experience. And that's causing an effect. And so then, if science tells us that the environment signals the gene, are you with me? And all genes make proteins. And proteins are responsible for the structure and the function of your body. And genes are like Christmas tree lights. They turn on and off all the time, and we've measured this. Would you agree then that if an experience in your environment produces an emotion, and science tells us it's the environment that signals the gene, when you begin to experience the emotion ahead of the environmental experience, you're signaling the gene to begin to make new proteins to prepare the body for that future experience. Are you with me? Yeah. Now you're in alignment biologically with the destiny, neurologically, chemically, hormonally. And all of a sudden now, this is the beauty. If you're able to then maintain that state of mind and body, where there's physical evidence in your brain and body to look like the experience has already occurred because you're doing the work, then the magic starts to happen in your life, and it comes out of nowhere. Those coincidences, those opportunities that begin to unfold are unfolding because you're no longer living in the known. You're living in the unknown. Are you with me still? And I'm telling you, you're more alive and at your best when you're in the unknown than when you're in the known. Are you still with me? Yeah. So then, if the brain is a record of the past, it's an artifact of everything you've learned and experienced to this moment. Would you agree then, if you're not being defined by a vision of the future every single day, you're left with the old circuits of the past? Yes or no? And if you are living by the memories of the past and you're not installing any circuits into the future, then you're going to be predictable in your life. Yes or no? Come on. And if feelings and emotions are the end product of past experiences, and you remember experiences better because you remember how they feel, the moment you wake up in the morning and you say, let me think about my problems. Oh, now I'm starting to feel a little bit more like myself. Wait, let me grab my cell phone and let me check my WhatsApp and my texts and my emails and my Facebook. And Jennifer's eating carbohydrates. Did you see that? Oh my God. And my high school boyfriend is looking for me. And the moment you begin to connect to your network of your personal reality, the moment you start turning on those circuits in your brain and you come back to your senses and you get connected to those emotions that have defined you based on memories, and those emotions are driving your thoughts, and you can't think greater than how you feel, you're thinking in the past. Yes or no? Yes. And you'll keep creating more of the same life. So then, think about this. You wake up in the morning, your brain, for the most part, is in the past. Yes or no? Yes. Come on, poke the person next to you over there. And would you agree then, if you connect to a familiar feeling or an emotion, and those emotions are driving your thoughts, and those thoughts are creating the same emotions, and those same emotions are driving your same thoughts, and those same thoughts are creating the same emotions, that you're conditioning your body into the past? Yes or no? Yes. And your body is the unconscious mind. It doesn't know the difference between an experience in your life that's creating an emotion and an emotion that you're creating by thought alone. To the body, it's believing and it's living in the same past experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Yes or no? Yes. And the body is beginning to continuously get the same information, and it's believing it's in the same environmental condition, which means you're signaling the same gene in the same way. Yes or no? And now you're headed for a genetic destiny. Yes or no? And you've done nothing wrong. You're just taking too long. Because those emotions then will define you. And then someone will say to you, what's up? Why are you so angry? Why are you so bitter? Why are you so afraid? Why are you so in so much pain? Why are you suffering so bad? And you say, I'm so glad you asked. And then you tell a narrative, the story of your past, firing and wiring the same circuits in your brain, working yourself up into an emotional froth to keep signaling the body into the past, reaffirming your personality based on a feeling. And the latest research on memory says that 50% of what you're talking about isn't even the truth. That you make stuff up. You embellish it. That memory is creative. And what that really means after all these years of studying this, when you ask a person that, it means that they had an event or a series of events in their life that branded them emotionally. And when they tell that narrative, what they're really saying is, I haven't been able to change since that event. I've been altered from that experience. Yes or no? Yes. And they find people in their life that are the same emotion, the same energy, and they use each other to reaffirm their addiction to that emotion. And they get agreement for it. And they say, I can suffer more than you can. No, I can suffer more than you do. Are you with me still? So then, the body becomes conditioned into the past, which means for the most part, most people's biologies are anchored in the past. And if how you think and how you feel creates your state of being, and you're thinking the same thoughts that are creating the same feelings and same emotions, and those emotions are influencing your thoughts, would you agree then you're signaling that same gene over and over again? And if genes are responsible for the structure and the function of the body, and you keep selecting and instructing the same gene, you're going to wear that gene out. Yes or no? Yes. Just like gears in your car. Taking a fax of a fax of a fax of a fax, or a copy of a copy of a copy, sooner or later, it's going to lose its detail. Yes or no? Yes. And that's exactly what happens to the body. The body begins to break down because those proteins are responsible for your physiology, for your structure. So then if immune cells make immune proteins, and you're living in fear every single day, you're living in anger and resentment, and impatience every single day, then you're signaling the same gene in the same way. Yes or no? Yes. And if you keep doing that for a period of time, sooner or later you're going to program that gene, and all of a sudden the body's going to get unhealthy. Yes or no? Yes. And look, people say, well, I did my meditation 3 days and nothing happened. But I tell them, how long did it take you to create that condition? Tell me. So then if meditation means to become familiar with, you got to become more familiar with the thoughts, behaviors, and emotions of your future than familiar with the thoughts and behaviors and emotions of your past. Yes or no? Yes. So then if you keep firing and wiring the same circuits in your brain, installing the circuits, the hardware becomes a software program, and it gets easier to think in unlimited ways. It gets easier to act like a wealthy person. It becomes easier then to cultivate the emotions of your future instead of the emotions of your past. And our students, people in this work, some of them have had horrific pasts. They've been abused, they've been traumatized, they have had very difficult conditions. And they stopped telling the story of their past. They started telling the story of their future, and they started believing more in that in their past.
And that was Joe Dispenza. Now, with any talk that Joe does, you need to be fully focused on what he's saying to really fully understand it. Well, I definitely have to anyway, but I always think it's well worth it. Like many others have said, we really do think that is the best explanation I've actually heard of how the process actually works. Many others have said it. But this theory and thought process should be taught early in life, with a couple of reminders later on. If you would like to watch the whole video, which is on YouTube, you can look for it by searching for Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it is titled Amazing Seminar. Credit to Live Your Dream, who published the video on YouTube. Now, with any podcast I do, I always like to flip the table over to you. Now, you might be thinking right now that you have an incredible idea, or there's a problem that you want to take care of. But instead, you're just going to sit there. You're just going to let it fester a little bit longer. Let the opportunity pass you by, or maybe you let it lose some value. Be realistic now. Time is ticking away for everyone. Get yourself on the calendar and book your free, yes, it's free, 30-minute LDL power call. Like I said, it's free. Only thing you need to invest is, half an hour. Let's get you moving in the right direction before you lose sight of it. But what's the realistic outcome here? Now, if you're going to try and ignore it, you could just let your opportunity sit there untouched because you haven't taken any sort of action and disappears. Come over to ldlcall.com, find the ideal slot for you, and we will speak soon. As for now, I'll be back tomorrow. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for listening. You can find more motivational moments at learndeveloplive.com, and we'll be back to inspire you again tomorrow.